Hello everyone, this is Jan and it is Tuesday, the 19th of May. Yes it is, 2026. I'm working on a little top-down adventure game in the Unreal Engine on my Mac Mini M1. It works. There's the occasional hiccup, like when you forget that you were recording your screen and recording balloons to 50 gigs and you have 55 left on your hard drive. Yeah, that'll slow things down, especially when you don't know what you did and you have to get a 7-day trial for some app that'll clean out your hard drive and then points out like, oh, there's this huge file. Would you like to do something with it? Yeah. So we made good progress the last couple of days. We figured out we have to plug in the controller, and the main thing we got fixed is I realized, the royal we, but it's just me, that the way I set up diving into water when certain collision boxes are a little too close together, like over here somewhere, there's a bug that happens. It's not every time, but it's a lot. I've got currents going, I've got falling going. I totally blocked that with my head, didn't I? I've got different currents. I've got the river current, which is part of the whole diving system, but I've got a simpler version of it. For some reason, the first time I built it, it just wouldn't work. And I think that has to do with my problem with, oh, what's this? It's a puzzle block from way ago. Now I can't get out of here. So I'm gonna have to go here. Swim against the current, let go, see? There's still that shadow bug. When you get near getting back onto water, there's a little rat creature that I got from HIO. So doing a kick like is really the Mario controls, like a fireball, press and hold, and then you can run, right? The A button or face down, the X on the PlayStation, is to interact with stuff. So wherever you can jump, you just use that button. The puzzle box, you want to move it. If it's possible, you use the X button. Oh, let's do that one more time. If you time it just right, you can actually get to the other shore. Here we go. Made it. And so that's 2 days of tinkering with the waterfall. To make a long story short, I always knew there was something wrong with my timelines. So when you want to go from point A to point B, it's called lerping in Unreal, and that time in between, you use a timeline node. But my big mistake on this particular river current was that instead of calculating between point A and point B, I was calculating from the player position point B, and as the timeline moves and the player gets closer to point B, the calculation of course changes from player position to point B. And so I had noted already with my hop up and hop down that I couldn't seem to speed up or slow down the hop or the water current by giving the timeline more time. Like it didn't seem to affect it at all, and I couldn't figure out why that was. And what I need to do, of course, and what I learned by making this waterfall version of the river current, a simpler version, is that I need to calculate from the point where you enter, where you jump, and then that stays the same. That is a point A and a point, and that fixed my timeline. That has been plaguing me for weeks. I had all sorts of ways around it to make things work anyway, but it was just painful. So right over there, I'm very happy with this, because when you start the game over here, there's going to have to be something over there to draw even more attention. Like maybe there's like a candle, something flickering, something animating to go, you're like, oh, what's that? Maybe there's an actual sign like shop. I built this yesterday, my Monday off. I have caves already, you can go in, but this time you actually go to a different section of the level and it opens up and you're inside this cave. Complete with more lighting effects, and that's it. Now, this came out way better than I thought. I just stamped together this tile map, but I was like, oh, this is not what I'm going for. It's cool, but this is not what I'm going for just a little shop, right? But as a first attempt, I'm very happy with this. And then here, when you go out, it slows down, you crawl into the space. I feel like that the ledge of the door needs to be more on camera. So let me show you how I did this. We have the map here, and if we zoom all the way out, we can go all the way over here, and that is where we're teleporting to. I have some stamps over there as well. I suppose I could just say these were my first attempts, because these red squares are actually the camera rooms, of which I have way too many. See, this is how I just quickly put something together, and over there as well, but then I couldn't. I was just trial and error trying to get it closer to one of the rooms, and then I thought, like, you know, I might actually build up more. This is much further away. Let's use this one instead. So we got our little room here. Wait, slow down. With the scroll wheel you can slow down the camera movements. I always forgot that when I first started in Unreal. So this red outline over here is the exit event. This is for lighter and darker sprite. This is actually a shadow, which is one of these. They're those odd sprites, shadows that I made using the translucent lit sprite material, because otherwise alpha doesn't work. Another painful lesson that took way too long to figure out. So let's quickly move these guys up. Let's see how the timing feels. I spent way too much time on trial and error trying to get all this right. But the only problem I still have is, or the main issue I have, is that teleporting doesn't quite work how I want. My camera system moves the camera over, and I actually have the code in place to simply teleport the camera there. Either the timing isn't quite right, there's something is not quite there. Like, everything is working, but I figure like those 3 seconds are not the end of the world, but it'd be nice if I could just give those back to the player this time. Well, I mean, it's fine, but it feels like it's loading in, when really what it's doing is not loading this level, it is moving over to this section of the level. And for some reason, I just cannot get that timing right. Okay, so let's have a look at the exit. He should disappear under the ledge of the door. Yes, that's it. And then, okay, great. That's it. Again, one of those things that is not a big deal. It just looks better. And I spent way too much time. What just happened? What just happened? I'm confused. Oh, there's a camera. Oh, did we just discover another bug? Let's see if we can trigger it again. So, the camera room starts here. Okay, I think I know what that is. What that is it means the teleporting of the camera works, but then it remembers this room as the last room that you were in, and this area, this is where the cave is, the shop. This is the downside of slow down with the scroll wheel. You can see the yellow lines in between. See that? In between 2 camera rooms is my cave, and this is one of those things, like, if the camera system had been built before the map, I would probably not put this here. The map came first, then I put the cave there, camera system, and just kind of work with it, and I play it all the time, so I think it's fine. But really what I should do is I should design this cave well within a camera room, not in between. So you walk out, you go into this camera room, it remembers that the previous one was over there, so it moves the camera from there to here again, because that's how it's set up. And so what we need to do, if that's possible, one, we need to remember where we did this. Okay, another thing in Unreal Engine, actually took me quite a long time to realize, like going through tutorials, is that when you're building your little blueprints, so I have all these objects in the game, they're all called actors. They all do something with the player, who is also an actor and who has a blueprint here that his players start, right? And you have a blueprint here for the camera. So they're all blueprints. But the level itself also is a blueprint that can talk to all those things. And you access it through here. Open level blueprint. It actually took me quite a long time in tutorials before I got to the point where it's like, oh, over here, why doesn't this have its own unique button, right? Like you get empty blueprint, like this is all stuff to do with blueprints, and then open, maybe the level should have its own unique button. It just seems such a weird thing. Open level blueprint. So now we have a level, as you can see, I have a bunch of stuff in here. When you, let's say this is a secret box. This prop has a secret. So you have to select it in a level, then you go to your level blueprint, and then you right click, and then you can create a reference to round block 27, right? And now I can drag stuff off it, and I can do things with it. Mine, like I don't know if this is actually part of the blueprint or the Defender project that I merged with my own that I got from Epic's monthly freebie at some point. See, I can actually add events, and it might be that this is actually part of Unreal, but I'm so accustomed because I learned it from the Defender project that I always think of it as part of the Defender. So you can do on actor begin overlap. So if you get into the space of this guy, you can then drag off and make things happen, right? And so I simply do that with the Defender blueprint event trigger. I drop that one in, and I guess this is nothing more but trigger event. Like okay, so he does do call on event trigger used. He built a bunch of stuff here. Maybe trigger event. So there's a little bit more to it. So I can make stuff happen, and the make stuff happen I did was we closed the curtain, which is part of the UI and widgets. We blind the camera, which is a plane in front of the camera that turns from invisible to visible, just blocking the view, which helps with timing. Then we move the player pawn over, and then when we move in back, this all works fine, no issue. And then when we move him back, curtain, unblind the camera. We now need to also tell the camera that the last room he was in is the room that he's actually in, as opposed to the cave, so that when you touch that room boundary, it doesn't suddenly move the camera from over here to over here, which looks like a bug to us, which means variables. Oh, I've got such a dry mouth. Not sure coffee is a cure for that, but yeah, that looks like mine. This is what I tend to do, not knowing how to program correctly. There's actually a third version of this that I made. It was hurting my brain thinking about how I could make this work with as few things as possible. And then last Sunday, when I once again had one of those hiccups in the game where things were slowing down, and I tried to come up with a way of optimizing, I looked at this and I thought, maybe having 250 rooms, or what is it? 348 it goes to. I bet it's more. 400, I see a 500. So there's targets, there's collision, there's all these nodes. There's easily like 2,000 things here that Unreal has to load into memory, right? And I actually thought of a simpler system that might become version 4. But at the time, my brain just wouldn't make that leap in code, how to do that. I have to think more abstract. And so I simply spent like 2 days building this, and it works. And that's what mattered to me then, not the optimization, just getting it to work. So we quickly need to have a little look for the, let's see, how does this work? Overlap, begin overlap, camera box, begin overlap. Let's see, exit, freeze box, the room function. It's probably in here. There's frozen, print string, previous room, set current room. This is what we're interested in to fix the problem. This is BP camera track V3. I select this. I go to my, I can close that one. I go to my level blueprint. I go, oh, there it is. Of course, I already have it set. Okay. And then current room. See, it actually needs to load because there's like thousands of them. Okay, so let's hard code that in. 1, put that in the comments, shift, and then backslash, you get that little thing, hard code current room, because cave entrance sits in between camera rooms, bug. Test it. Hello, Mr. Shopkeeper. I would like some of your finest ware. On second thought, it smells like fungus in here. No, this works. We know that. We know this. Now we walk into a no glitch. There we have it. Some good progress. River currents, mini currents, a waterfall, and actually falling using the falling animation. Puzzle boxes are back, and I haven't got a use for this one yet. Let me just quickly dash over. When you move between rooms and you're running, it doesn't remember that you're running. It resets you to walking. It's another thing to one day look at. And I went here again, even though there's no exit here. If you haven't moved it open yet, you have to learn the hard way. So it forces the player to learn to swim and climb out, and that you can do that at the algae. So push against it, nothing happens. You have to Or can I get it to work? Why doesn't it? Just what I need, right? Another bug. These guys don't need a press A to work. And I think I should do that for the other puzzle block as well. Like, why have an extra button press if you can't get the button press to be consistent? And so concludes another fine day. So now you can walk past it, but okay, let's just test it. Okay, now it's working. Why was it acting up? But I can't have it do that, because what if that actually happens in the game and you can't get it to move and then you're just stuck there? That would be bad. I'm also going to have to relearn how to save items so that the game actually remembers that you did that. So many things. Anyway, catch you in the next one. Hope you're all well. Let's keep this video short and let's find something else to develop.